how the new Supreme Court judgment has made meritocracy more inclusive in our country. What reforms have been asked to be made by UPSC, and how it is going to change it for PWD candidates. Yesterday, on the International Day of Person with Disabilities, Supreme Court has given a landmark judgment which is going to change the way UPSC supports the candidates with disabilities. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh and today we are going to discuss about the judgment, how Supreme Court has helped UPSC bring in reforms which is going to facilitate people with disabilities, how the candidates would be held, what are the provisions that are being talked about, and overall architecture in this particular term. So let us get started with understanding that what exactly happened. So this judgment was delivered on the International Day of Persons with Disability, that is yesterday, that means December 3rd. And this case was basically filed by a group, that is Mission Accountability, which was seeking reforms specifically in UPSC exam and how it makes accommodations for people with disabilities. Now, there were multiple issues which were highlighted in this particular petition, such as rigid Scribe registration deadlines. For example, if blind candidates have gone for Scribe, they had to register 2 months back. That means any end time changes were not accommodated. There was lack of screen readers which could facilitate in the output, audio output or braille output. And there were non-uniform standards which have been present across the centers, which makes it the accessibility as well as accommodation difficult for PWD candidates. So in this context, the judgment was given. Before we talk about the judgment, let us also understand the whole context, that why this petition was filed and what was the problem in front of especially PWD candidates. So as I mentioned that UPSC clearly required early subscribe registration. That means any last minute change or any last minute withdrawal put that particular PWD candidate in the spot. And visually impaired candidates also lacked in basic facilities such as screen reader software, accessible digital question papers, and most importantly, standardized exam infrastructure which facilitates accessibility, be it ramp, lifts, etc. So multiple exam centers were seen and there were found that implementation was absolutely inconsistent and it violated the regional accommodation principles which were highlighted in the RPWD Act of 2016 itself. Now, based on this situation, the petition was filed and the judgment came out in which Supreme Court has brought multiple changes which are important for you to understand. Starting with the first one, that the Scribe change window has been extended. That means up and until 7 days before exam, the Scribe can be changed. The second thing that has happened, that UPSC has been asked to give a 2-month compliance affidavit for the same. Furthermore, there has been creation of a uniform nationwide protocols so that the assistive technologies can be brought in, and there has been also mandatory screen reader implementation plan on which UPSC will notify very soon. Furthermore, Union government has been asked to implement and also facilitate and give in the technical administrative support which will help in implementation of all these reforms and the measures that need to be taken to actually ensure in reality that accessibility as well as the sanctity of this particular exam is maintained. So when we are talking about the exams with relevance to UPSC as the main agency, recruiter agency, we have to understand that when we are talking about meritocracy, it also needs to be inclusive. And this particular judgment is a step forward in that very context. Now we will be discussing 3 directions which have wide implications in detail, starting with the first direction about the Scribe change up to 7 days before the exam. So each UPSC exam be it EPFO, be it CSE, the notification will already contain this clause about scribe change up to 7 days before the exam, and this particular judgment has requested that UPSC has to decide this within 3 working days after the judgment has come across. The whole idea here is to make sure there is no last time anxiety, especially for PWD candidates, and it also aims to prevent candidates being forced to write without any appropriate support, which is going to hamper their performance. Now, the whole idea here is to bring in fair opportunity to ensure that candidates who have disabilities, they are still able to put up in the exam in the real output that they can. So, their potential is being given fair opportunity through this particular change. The second direction is about how screen reader software needs to be integrated. So, UPSC is yet to submit a detailed plan about screen reader software, and certain screen readers which will be approved, they need to be integrated so that the infrastructure will include laptops, accessible digital question papers and secure software environments so that these digital question papers can have audio output or braille output as per the requirement. Now, because this is a huge change, UPSC will be submitting the plan. There will be a proper cycle where there will be testing, standardization and validation, but it is expected that it will be implemented in the very next exam cycle so that the benefits of this standardization, this improvement and software integration can be brought up to the candidates. Apart from that, third important direction that has come along is the uniform assistive technology, the protocols related to it. Now, UPSC has been asked to work with agencies so as to ensure whenever we are talking about assistive technologies which can help the PWD candidates, they are brought over in a uniform manner and they are available across the regions and the centers. So, in this context, UPSC will be working with 3 main agencies here. The first one being Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities. Then we also have National Institute of Empowerment for Persons with Visual Disabilities, and the third one is DOPT, that is Department of Personnel and Training. So, UPSC needs to coordinate and work with these agencies so as to ensure that there is a proper creation of nationwide standard guidelines which is available to the PWD candidates. There are invigilators who are trained for this very purpose, and also ensuring the security of digital systems that are being proposed and brought in, and most importantly to prevent the misuse of, so that the sanctity and dignity of the exam is maintained. So, the idea here is the implementation is ensured with UPSC and these agencies across all exam centers or the specific identified centers for PWD candidates with the required technology that has been proposed. Furthermore, there has been a role of central government that has also been suggested in this very context, that is that the Department of Personnel and Training and also the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, they will ensure the technical support which is required. They will fund the infrastructure that needs to be maintained, and they will be also responsible for coordinating the same with the state government. Furthermore, the exam personnel, that means the invigilators or facilitators, their training needs to be ensured by the central government, and the nationwide accessibility audits which will ensure that this is not just in paper but this is also implemented real time, which can be done through proper audits, that will also lie with DOPT and Ministry of Social Justice and Environment. So, the whole idea here is to transform accessibility from a policy idea to actually implementable real practice which exists in institutional forms. Now, when we have understood that what are the changes that have been proposed and how they will come into functionality, let us move ahead and discuss that how the court has provided this particular judgment and what are the constitutional provisions observations around it. The court has very clearly brought in front the fact that right to a person with disability is something that they are not doing as charity, something they are not doing extra. Rather, they are protecting the constitutional guarantees. That means the basic human fundamental rights are being given in form of Article 14, that is right to equality, Article 19, freedom and fair opportunity, and also Article 21, which not only ensures right to life, but as a subcomponent, right to dignity, autonomy and meaningful participation. And true equality will only be ensured when we ensure that there are removal of the existing barriers that are present in the society. And this will start with public institutions. That is why public institutions must streamline these processes with UNCRPD and RPWD Act of India of 2016. So this is where a broad context has also been given by the court that why this is important. This is not being done extra, this is something basic that needs to be ensured, and that has been finally brought in as a policy idea, and hopefully there will be full-fledged implementation of that as well. But when we are talking about UPSC as an agency where multiple exams are conducted, there are many ways UPSC facilitates and supports PWD candidates. For example, there are already existing provisions where own scribe choice is given. There is compensatory time is given, that is 20 minutes per hour, that means 33% extra time is available to them. The centers which are identified for PWD candidates, they are the accessible ones where there is facilities such as ramps, toilets and priority seatings are ensured. Furthermore, exemption from compulsory Indian language paper is also given for certain disabilities. And furthermore, there are relaxations which are given by UPSC in medical as well as service allocation criteria. There are facilities which are being provided, but it means that there are certain places where it can go up and enhanced, and that is what is coming through this judgment of the Supreme Court, where there will be further strengthening of the facilitation and the support that is given to the PWD candidates. On this note, I'll be concluding with the thought with which I started, that this judgment is a step forward when we talk about inclusive meritocracy, and this will ensure that the PWD candidates and the community, they will get the accommodations rightly implemented so that they have an equal and fair chance to compete. Now that was all from my side. Thank you so much. You can put your thoughts in the comment section.